Okay. So, we are talking about the diagnostic test based formative assessment. So, what is formative assessment? Formative assessment is that assess strength and weakness of the student's instruction, media and instructor. So, I want to find out after providing the instruction, I want to test whether this instruction is effective or not. How do you test it? Why I provide the instruction? To achieve the outcome. So, I know the outcome of the instruction, I test whether all students are achieve the outcome or not. If they not achieve, then not only I have to identify who have achieved the outcome or who have not achieved the outcome, I have to identify what are the possible misconceptions for which student A is not reach the desired outcome. So, if I use Moodle or LMS software whatever, I provide a quiz at the end of the class to find out whether the class objective they have understands or not, or whether they have any misconception on the class objective or not. Or at the end of the week, I can take a test and find out using a Moodle. I can test to tell the students, please go through this test and write down your correct answer. So, what you will does? You provide a marks. Out of 10 marks, somebody get 8, somebody get 9, somebody get 7, somebody get 5. This is not purpose for my formative assessment. My purpose is that if these students is failed to answer 2 questions, where I may test certain outcome, I have to find out what are the possible misconceptions of those students at this question. Think about deeper things. Not only then find out the possible misconception, but also I have to provide individually the remedial lesson to overcome that misconception. So, if I take a test after 1 week, I have a 200 paper, 200 question answer script. I not only provide the marks in the each answer script, I have to find out each and individual misconception and I have to write down, this is your misconception, please go through this chapter, this material, this video lecture or this textbook or this animation. So, manually it may trivial, but it work. That is the role of the teachers, not to provide the lectures only. You may provide lectures, students does not care, because the same lecture is available in the media. So, I have to know the target of that lecture and I have to test what are the misconceptions may arise in this target to reach the target. I explain one thing, you just see that how do you do that. Let us the example, let us suppose 4 to the power 3 I want to test. Let us for a example case. What are the possible misconceptions? Some student may add this number, some students may multiply these two numbers, some student may write down the correct answer. So, if I design a multiple choice question to find out what are the possible misconceptions of the student. So, my questions is what is the value of 4 to the power 3? Choice A is 7, choice B is 12, choice C is 64. So, I have only 3 choices, not all of the above, no none of this. So, I will come why how to design a multiple choice question. So, if I say that, then let us students answer A. This is an example. I am not saying that it is a BTech questions. It is saying that it is an example how to design diagnostic test based assessment. So, let us a student chose A. So, his misconception is he is adding these two numbers. To confirm this, once a student chose A, you may throw another question 6 to the power 2, whose choice are 8, maybe 12, maybe 36. If we again choose A, then you confirm that student misconception is he is adding these two numbers. Then you can provide a remedial lesson to the students. Please read this text, because you are adding these two numbers. So, if I design this whole system in computer base, so there is a teacher side, teacher will set the question, find out the possible misconception. Each misconception should be retest, and for each misconception remedial lesson will be tagged. Now, a computer can do the 400 students test in a 1 minute to find out the possible misconception and send them the appropriate lesson. So, the challenge is how to design this question. If I able to perfectly design this question for each one of my course outcome, module outcome or unit outcome, then only I can design a computer based assessment system which is diagnostic. Currently, okay, so this thing is under development. You also can start doing this thing, because this is nothing great is there. So, you can find out, write a program to do this thing. Once you done it, as a teacher you develop the question. So, developing the questions is domain dependent. So, that is the teacher mastery. So, I am not saying the system will do everything, system will do nothing. So, you have to develop the questions by which you can design the diagnostic test based assessment. Now, once you have done it, you can take the test in after every class 5 minutes, after every week 10 minutes. Level of the question will be only change. Maybe after 2 weeks one test 20 minutes, after 3 weeks another test 30 minutes. Any time you can conduct this test to find out what is the possible misconception of the students. Maybe if you find out the some misconceptions are commonly occurring most of the students, then you can arrange a discussion in the class. So, this is the common misconception all of you. So, this is the misconception and this is the correct way. So, not only help you to diagnose the misconception, but also help you provide the active feedback to the students after that test. So, technique, formative assessment, everybody talk about formative assessment. Every quiz, every assessment is not to provide the marks to the students. It is a technique or it is a process for gathering data to find out the student misconception. All of you watch the 3 Idiots movie, he also there also said, the telling a student that you have a blood sugar of 380 is not the great. Identify it, how to solve it is the greatness. So, design at formative assessment and which is diagnostic test. So, you may do, okay, I do not want computer, you can do it offline also, but each and every answer script you have to find out what are the possible misconceptions. If I have 30 students, I can do it manually. If I have 200 students, I can do it computer based. Manually, yes, I can provide some descriptive questions also. Descriptive means solving answer type of questions, but here I know that student is solving that, then I will provide the answer. Okay? So, this is the formative assessment. Summative assessment, I can say that I am not doing again this thing. So, summative assessment purpose is that ultimate outcome, whether a student has reached the ultimate goal of the course or not. Now, when you design a summative assessment, what is the present problem? I give you 2 or 3 examples of the problem which is lie. Suppose you have derived a complex problem in the class, solution you have done in the class, and same problem you have set in summative assessment. Then what is the level? Although it is a very complex design problem, since it is derived in the class, student can memorize it and write in the exam. So, cognitive level of that problem become only knowledge level. So, do not provide the problem which is solved in the class, and do not give the indication this problem will come in the class. Most of the paper summative assessment, if you find, explain this thing, derive this thing, discuss this thing, write a short note on something else. Is any one of those qualify for a BTech engineering questions? Because as I already described, none of the PO says that students should able to only explain, student to only able to describe. Write a short note what you want to test from the students for which PO. So, attainment of the PO, whether a learner attend the PO or CO, how do I test? As external, I will just take your question paper. If I found most of your questions is derive, discuss, describe, explain, write a short note, then and there I can say your course does not fit for that BTech engineer. So, the course questions will be only scattered to the corresponding outcome. So, suppose I write 5 outcome, maybe 1 and 3 and 4 are not testable in the summative assessment. So, I can take it as an class project or programming assignment, but 1 and 2 and 3 I have to take in summative assessment. I have several module goal. So, each of the module goal also I can test in the summative assessment. Ultimately, I have to think whatever the question paper I have designed, it will cover the entire course, not that 30%, 40% of the course. It may not be module wise also. Course outcomes are not module based. A course is divided in different modules, but course outcome are integration of all module. So, the course, when I take design a question paper, it should not cover only one module. You may cover, but not only module wise question. I have to think about how the students has a skill to integrate the module, to take the overall skill set. So, I have to suppose my university says you have to design 8 questions and out of 8 students should answer 5, any 5. Then I have to ensure, I have to design the question such a way that I am ensuring none of the students, whatever the any 5 student can choose, they have to cover the entire syllabus or they have to cover the entire outcome which I want to test. So, any 5 out of 8 they can choose, but once they choose the 5, that will ensure that they have covered the entire outcome desired to complete. Think about many board has a question paper setter. If you see I can remember my opinion in my high secondary classes, I can say that. School says that you don't have to touch the permutation, combination and Lagrangian equation, because out of 8 answer any 5 will come. So, without those 2 chapter knowledge you can get a 100% marks. Yes, I prepared, I get the 100% marks, but what mistake I have done? Not that I am not getting marks, I get, but the mistake is for me as a student. I only the mistake, not the teacher. Teacher is not the sufferer, sufferer is the students, that I do not know the permutation, combination and Lagrangian equation. Promoted to the next class, when the next class starts with probability, I may have a difficulty to find out that concept. So, designing an assessment question paper, and not that okay, student get 100% marks, they are happy. Actually they are not happy, because when they are promoted to the next class, they will be in big trouble. So, answer out of 8 answer any 5, I should design a question for such a way that any 5 students choose, they have to cover the entire outcome. And I do not take the write a short note, and so this is not a appropriate questions for B level. I do not provide a questions which can be answered by memory only. Think about that implication. I give another example from our secondary and high secondary level question paper. So, there is a language questions, every language there is a question, so write an essay on some topic. So, what is the purpose for that question? Purpose was very defined. Purpose was that to test whether a student is able to write an event on its own language or not. That means, I know enough English to describe an event in the answer script. Event is description is given, but what we are doing? Everybody know what kind of essay will come in the next exam, and there is a essay book that may be written by a very proficient language narrator, maybe he is a writer, and we just memorize that things, and exam we just copied whatever is their memory in their exam. So, it is nothing but a memory game, it is not developing the skill. I want to test the skill of the students, whether a student is able to describe an event on his own language or not, but what I test how much a students can memorize from a reputed book. That is not my purpose. So, this is the summative. When I do that assessment and assignment, or when I do assess the student, I am very clear what I want to assess and how I want to assess. If a question paper is 100% predictable, then the purpose of the assessment is false, because I can only cover those skills and I give the exam, but you do not know whether the students have actual that skill or not, if you give the descriptive type question. But if you give a problem, if the problem is new to the students, they have to apply the skill, then I am always testing the skill. A student does not have to get the 100% marks, that is not the purpose. My purpose is not to provide the marks to the students. My purpose is to find out whether a learner attained their course goal or not. I am not taking a competitive exam. I am taking an exam by which I am certifying their competentness on the particular subject. Now, when I come for the competitive exam, scenario is different, not this. That is norm reference based examination system. That means I have to certify who is the best, who is the not best. JEE exam, 5 lakh students. I have to rank them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lakhs. How do I do this? Even I have a 600 marks question paper, then also I cannot eventually evenly distributed the students on marks basis. 600 students, mostly I can rank them 1, 2, 3, 4, 600. If I do certain permutation combination also, it is not possible to, based on the marks students get, rank them. So, what we will do? Let us provide a question paper by which I can eliminate the maximum students. So, there may be some questions which only may 30,000 students can answer, rest are not able to answer, eliminate them. Then find. So, this kind of elimination technique, I am ranking the students. Here purpose is not ranking. I want to find out the skill of the student. I want to certify whether a student has desired skill or not. So, when you design a question paper, all kinds of things you have to mind. B questions, I have seen most of the cases people are write a question paper, describe the operation of AC machine. It is not the B question level. Write a short note on push-pull amplifier. I do not want that skill. I want, given a specification, they have to be able to design the push-pull amplifier. So, my question will be write a short note on push-pull amplifier or not. My question will be, given this specification, design this, calculate this, derive this, determine this. So, those are the purpose. Okay? Next class, I will discuss about the item analysis. Okay? So, item analysis, that means when I design a questions, can I find out whether this type of questions are very easy, this type of question is very difficult, all things I will discuss in the next class. Okay? Thank you.